will benefit us in this presentation, learning how to develop PowerPoint presentations, make presentations. Mr. Kevin Lerner is a driving force in the presentations and corporate communications industry. He's the founder and executive director of the presentation team. Kevin Lerner and his team have developed presentations and provided consulting services for clients including Motorola, Comcast Cable, ADT, Oracle, Office Depot, and Ryder Transportation, as well as numerous smaller companies and individuals. Since founding the presentation team in 1995, Kevin has developed numerous techniques that have helped him to develop presentations with great efficiency, agility, and creativity. We'll be sharing some of these techniques today in a brief seminar called Power Presentation, 7 Tips to Reduce Cluttered Slides. And by the way, I met him when I was doing a presentation for the Rotary that day, and he approached me and said, well, how did my presentation look? How did my PowerPoint? He said, well, I could probably give you a few tips. I did that with myself. So Kevin is a Miami native, as I am, and a member of Toastmasters International, the National Speakers Association, and the Florida Speakers Association. He is a freelance journalist for the Toastmaster magazine, Midwest Meetings, and his own Presenter Center blog. Kevin attended the University of Florida. No booze?
I knew that would get in trouble. I could tell it was a...
And lives and works in Delray Beach.
Yay.
Please join me in welcoming Kevin.
Thank you, Chief James. It's an honor to be here, and I've got a personal message of gratitude toward the end. But I want to start with a simple question. Would you rather go to a business meeting or to the theater? The theater. With their captivating performances, the theater would be anyone's choice. Look around, but it's a sad fact that the vast majority of business presentations put audiences to sleep. They're dry, boring, and monotonous. But it doesn't have to be this way. With a combination of cutting-edge technology and polished delivery, it's easy to create a presentation that has all of the elements of the best Broadway shows. It's a fact that the more dynamic your presentation, the more impact you will have with your audience. Studies show that people remember 20% of what they hear and 30% of what they see, but 50% of what they hear and see in combination. And no, Chief James, that's not your head there. Now, presentation technology has evolved radically since those early days of the flip charts, the overheads, and the slide projectors. Nowadays, people look to the sharpest technology to give them the bottom line edge, and PowerPoint has almost become synonymous with the word presentation. Just as people used to say, I need a Xerox, now everyone says, I need a PowerPoint when I need a presentation, right? And yet, like that statistic that says people reuse only 10% of their brain power, or maybe even less here in South Florida, people use only a fraction of the power of PowerPoint. So in the next 30 minutes, however long we have, we're going to go over some ideas, some strategies to use this powerful tool more effectively, more powerfully. We're going to talk a little bit about reducing clutter in your slides, creating good visuals, and if you like what we have to say, I can be back for an extended period of time. I like to say one of my life philosophies is if you can dream it, you can do it. And in today's world of technology, there are a lot of barriers and there are a lot of opportunities, and the only barrier to creativity is our own mind. And so we're going to show some great opportunities and possibilities with PowerPoint. First, I want to talk about what you guys do, and gals, about your presentations. Let me talk about your needs. So, Chief James, you obviously called me because you have people who give presentations. So tell me about some of the more important presentations you guys make with PowerPoint.
Well, our public education specialist, Lieutenant Beardsley here, he does a lot of presentations, and any of us really could be in a position to give a presentation to the public or to other staff members. There are certainly opportunities where we would be asked to make a presentation to the city manager and and/or the city commission.
So you guys present a lot. And so what are some of the bigger challenges that your presenter man here? So what are some of the bigger challenges that you face giving these presentations or creating them?
Not too much creating. I'm fairly comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm. So you think maybe it's more of a...
You can speak for himself.
Okay.
Yeah, speak for himself, you know. The I am not.
Okay. Anyone else?
One of the challenges now has become PowerPoint's overused, so everyone's used to seeing it, so it's almost becoming too, just too expected that it's going to be there, and people overuse it, so it's almost like, what can you do to do something a little different, because everyone's always doing nothing but that now.
Sure. And and what would you like to do better with PowerPoint? Use it less, maybe. I think that's important, that people, as what you said, has really almost become a life philosophy, which is in contrast somewhat to what we do, which is creating good presentations. But one of the most powerful slides is a blank slide that I have. And you, by the way, can do that with most remote controls by pressing both keys or pressing the B key. Everybody's eyes are on me now. And so many people look to PowerPoint as a crutch. And yet, at the same time, people define you by the presentations that you use. So it really is vital that we have presentations that are at the same level as we are. Is your PowerPoint, is your presentation as good as you or your department? And that's what we're really here to talk about. That's why when I saw Chief James the other day, I said, you know, you're a good speaker, but your presentation is subpar. And so it was cluttered, it was busy, and he's not alone. There are a lot of other people that have real busy presentation slides out there. We're going to talk about 7 tips to reducing clutter. And the first point that I want to bring up is that you can simply reduce your space, or provide more breathing space by reducing the size of information. Just because you've got a full slide like this does not mean that we need to fill every space and pixel on the slide. This is a slide for Hill's Pet Nutrition, and they said we have like 5 people watching it. It was a small business presentation. And these are examples based on real clients that we've worked with. They said it was 5 people. Also, if we're talking about head count and good numbers, and they've got red here, what does red connote? Fire, negative, bad, right. And so I said, we're talking bad stuff or good stuff with red numbers. So simply we reduce the size of it, and suddenly, subconsciously, it takes on a little bit more of a breathing space. And then the next step up is adding just a little bit of a professional blue background that's for Warren County Community College up in New Jersey, and a little arc of a background, and suddenly the slide comes to life simply by reducing the size, adding a background, and providing a little bit of breathing space. Here's another point. Group your bullets into shapes. We're now calling smart art. And smart art is built into PowerPoint, and it really gives us the way of collectively grouping information. People remember information not in segments or long lists of information, but rather in groupings. Here's a slide for Republic Services. Anyone know of Republic? They are a large waste management firm that now in Phoenix, used to be in Fort Lauderdale. We worked with them a lot. And they see this whole list of their strategic initiatives. And I said, Will, let's talk about your revenue, productivity, finance, and maintenance in 4 separate items. And simply, by taking this simple slide, we took revenue, productivity, maintenance, and finance and put them into 4 cubes. So just grouping them together adds a psychological edge. And now, one step beyond that, something we could all do, taking those groups, making them to colored hexagons. Revenue, maintenance, productivity, and finance. Much more memorable. The shapes come in color. And we have, from their annual report, a background, gray, black, and white, very clean, conservative, and conveys that standard brand image that they're going for. Another example, employers being overcharged. I'm sure we've all seen a slide like this. This is a major company. This is Hill's Pet Nutrition. And again, it was a small audience with just a flat background. This is a multi-billion-dollar pet food company. And we're talking, let's try to fix this in a different way. So by grouping those bullet points into 3 separate elements and then putting a graphic next to each one of the elements, an icon about stop, about management, a light bulb, simple concept graphics. They don't need to be elaborate. But suddenly we remember the graphics more effectively, we remember the message, and it's a whole lot more conveyed just through graphics. Point number 3. This is one of the more challenging and yet sometimes often more fun aspects. Consolidate text. There are 2 words there. 2 words. A lot of people would probably say it's important that you reduce the amount of text on a slide. Another way of saying that is consolidate text. Here's an example. Whoa, okay, I got to take my restroom break now, Mr. Presenter. It would take them nearly 5 minutes to get through this common sense approach. But what we said, and I would like your help on this, our experience and abilities are unique among our peers. How could we say this a little bit better in just 4 words? Our abilities and experience are unique among our peers. Any suggestions about unique abilities? How about we are results-oriented? Cut that in half. Anyone? We are results-oriented. How can we just chop out a few words to make it? We are, exactly, right. So that's the concept behind it, is that unique abilities and experience, results-oriented, simplified. So it may not look better, but it's a lot more consolidated than this amount of text. You're not up there as a speaker, as a presenter, to read your bullet points. You're there to convey a message, to convey the meaning and your notes. Your message is there as the key point. So what we've done here is to split this into 2 slides. This one has been chopped down into smaller points, and then we provide now becomes a separate slide. So it takes a smaller amount of time per slide. You have 2 slides, and it moves through at a faster pace. Point number 4, replace and supplement your bullet points with graphical icons. This is something similar to what we just did before. But for the stutter group, they're talking about their no-shows being down, they're talking about their parties being down, they're talking about their patient satisfaction being way up. But it's not heavy. Now in a simple graphical method. Also with some graphical makeovers. So the no-shows are down. Why don't we show some empty chairs? No-shows are down. That is down in red. Tardies are down. That's also a down arrow in red. And their patient satisfaction is up. That's in green. So arrows, graphics, messages suddenly help convey the message more effectively. You got it so far? Point number 5, span the bullet points across multiple pages. This is an example that we just saw with that huge bullet page, now split into 2 pages. Can anyone guess how many pages we have gone through already in the 15 minutes I've been speaking? 7 pages? Okay. We are at page 38. 38, and we have already hit on 5 bullet points. And a lot of people would probably put a page like this. Let's talk about our 7 tips to reduce clutter. And they would probably talk 1 minute for each one of these pages. We have been going through this at about a pace of 1 slide every 15 to 20 seconds. In today's world of fast-paced TV, texting, everything, people have shorter attention spans than ever before. So I think it's vital to capture our audience's attention that we move through at a good pace. So by spanning your bullets across multiple pages, we're doing that. Here's a slide by Office Depot to demonstrate what we're talking about. They talk about their mission, they talk about their vision, and then they talk about their strategic objectives. This slide was on screen for a few minutes. I said, why don't we take your mission, put it up there with a graphic. Why don't we take your vision, put that up there with a graphic. Why don't we take your strategic objectives and put them out there? And this underscores those messages that I was just talking about taking graphics to support your message. Not everything needs a graphic, but certainly by adding a graphic, it makes it more memorable. These elements, one at a time, but the 3 supporting graphics help. Here's another example. This is a little bit of an older slide here, but we got mobile phone statistic. This is interesting to look back at now because it's 7 or 8 years old, and it really has been eclipsed by current numbers. But they had these 3 slides on, or these 3 bullet points, and I said, let's make 3 slides out of them. Mobile phone statistics, this statistic flies in. We are using multiple colors, multiple shapes to draw attention to the key elements. 1 billion, half of them. The colors contrast with each other, and the background really just shows a mobile phone of the era in the background. It just shows this level of technology. And then 4% of the phone minutes were wireless. This number will quadruple. And then that 3rd bullet became its 3rd slide in that $200 billion in cell phone sales. So really, that message of spanning your bullet points cannot be underscored. Here's Willie Jolly. He is a world-class motivational speaker and singer. And Willie came to us a few years ago and said, Kevin, fix my slides. I said, Willie, you got 3 photos of you, your headline, this quote, that quote, it's all over the place. So what we did, Willie Jolly's a colorful kind of guy, so we gave him a colorful background. This became his title slide. As people were entering, and if you notice when you guys were entering, we had a single icon, a single graphic of the fire department logo up on screen, the title of the seminar, etc. So that's what we're doing here with Willie. And then here's what Gladys Knight had to say about him, and here's what Rothel of Mystic Beverages. Not only are they separated, it gives you the space to make them larger and more clear and one thought at a time. That's another concept that we've been really kind of putting out there is one message per slide. One message per slide. Point number 6, drop the template. Drop the template. Not everybody needs to have a template in their presentation. You know, a lot of people think that, wow, PowerPoint's templates give me creativity. In many ways, they give us restriction. It may give consistency, and consistency is good, but there are other ways of delivering that consistency. Has anyone seen this template before? This is probably the most overused flat template in PowerPoint. I put this up a couple of weeks ago, and some guy in the audience laughed. He said, "Oh, okay," and they came up to me afterward. "Kevin, you got to fix my presentation. I got the same template and this as you were demonstrating here." So when I'm talking about reducing the template, this is for all state insurance. You say, take a minute, look at your goals, look at your performance, see if your behavior matches your goals. So what we said, we're talking about goals here. What do we say? That goals can be defined as maybe a dartboard. This is a great metaphor for talking about goals. And so what we got here is the same message here. Take a minute, look at your goals, look at your performance, and see if your behavior matches your goals, because that is a super way of conveying that. The only thing that's consistent here, here's that second slide, it sells 10% education and 90% trust. You got it in the same font. Now we're going to say 10% education becomes very small, 90% becomes really large. The only thing that's consistent here, we're not using a template, we're using full screen graphics. The only thing that's consistent is the type style, the type size. So that's really how we're conveying the similar concept and brand. And it's really up to you guys if you want to adapt and adopt some sort of standard of a full screen graphic, but I do encourage, if you're going to be using that you do have at every bottom of the slide that you have the fire logo, etc. Now, in addition to being overused and underliked, the screen beans show up and they really detract. So here's just another 1 or 2 examples of these full screen techniques. They talk about your seminar, please ask questions. Let's say if this is a seminar, let's get a photo of a group of people there. And again, this different size text. Refuse to lose from Comcast. If we're talking about refuse to lose, let's get a whole team-oriented photo. And these photos are easier than ever to find on the internet. Thanks to iStockphoto, we'll show some messages at the end and other ideas. Talking about Tom Edison, another idea that's, rather than having Tom in a small indented photo, bring him up full screen. He says, "I've not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." So this is another exciting idea, living powerfully through technology. So, and then we'll wrap it up with this last tip. Use video. More than ever, video is incorporated into presentations. A few years ago, people were hesitant to use it. Number 1, it took up a lot of space. Number 2, a lot of computers couldn't display it. It would freeze up the computer. But now it's easier and more potent than ever. If you have something to say, to share, put it out there. A lot of times when people were entering the room for this presentation for a division of Johnson & Johnson, we just had this background graphic going. It doesn't need to be a static slide. It doesn't need to be having sound or narration. But the concept was that this would just loop as people were assembling for the presentation. An easy to create slide that software is out there that any of us can use to create easy videos. This is nothing more than just a motion background and a montage of their slides. Another message here from Myra Goldick is if you got a message, bring your audiences to the speaker. So here's Myra Goldick talking about why people give up, real briefly.
People give up because of pain they experience from disappointments and adversity. And a natural instinct is, I don't want to feel that pain anymore. I don't want to face the pain, so I'll just quit. Quitting isn't an option. So should you quit and feel the pain forever, or try to overcome it?
And I bring her in here because it's a short message, and the idea is that we're bringing through presentations, through technology, we are bringing the world to our audience. It doesn't need to be just you. It doesn't need to be bullet points. It can be anything out there with a video camera that the computer can now convey and communicate to us. So how are we doing on time?
Well, say another 5 minutes.
Another 5 minutes. Okay. Why don't I jump ahead? This is another section that I think is very exciting, but I don't think we've got the time to go into it. We talk about presentation trends. I've got this on the internet. I'm going to just jump ahead a little bit to another area, and we'll ask some questions and answers. We'll have some questions, and look at this. And here's something else that I'm using here. This is on the computer. We're using a 2-screen setup for what's called the presenter view, where we can display information about the slide. The notes come up here. It's displaying my notes over here, and the output is on the second monitor, which is the projector. And this is really helpful if you're giving a talk, especially with statistics, so you know what's coming up. I'm occasionally looking over there, but if you have 2 monitors, it's really a great value to have. I don't have it on this presentation. I got this one slide. Having a second monitor, having a projector, or when you're working, a second monitor can increase your efficiency by nearly 44%. Just as if you've got a bigger desk to put more information, having a second monitor can really help improve the amount of space that you've got to work. So it really would be an encouraging tool for if you do a lot of designs, a lot of presentations, to get a second monitor out there. So here are some resources. And I just want to take one moment just to make sure my camera has been recording this before I take off. This is a, yes, okay, we're in great shape. I thought maybe I didn't press the record button. iStockphoto is a resource center that if you need any sort of stock photography, any sort of graphic, any image, it's out there. They charge by the credit. So iStockphoto.com. Another great site. Anyone use any kind of company logos in their presentations or icons? Brands of the World is a free website where you could get logos and icons of almost any company out there. Brandsoftheworld.com. Anyone do any speaking or want to improve their speaking? Toastmasters International is an organization around the world. There are multiple chapters here in South Florida. Here in Delray Beach, there are a few. I've been a second-generation Toastmaster. Both my parents were Toastmasters. Some companies even have their own. I would encourage you to check this out. They've got a lot of resources on there if you're called on to do a talk, or we could talk about that also, about improving your comfort, your connection with your audience, making your speeches come together. So Toastmasters International. And of course, right here in Delray Beach, I like to pride ourselves on being a resource center for presenters. Presentation team provides presentation design, coaching, information, even free makeovers. So the Presenter Center is a new area that we've got offered on the website where you could get tools, strategies, and inspiration, including some PowerPoint tips, some PowerPoint makeovers, presentation tools. We talk about the psychology of color, effective file organization. So a lot of these ideas are already on the presentation team website, or we could talk about them in a future program here. And if you were ever called on to do a presentation, or Chief James, we could talk about this. This is a little pitch here, but we will offer a free PowerPoint review, an expert opinion of your PowerPoint, maybe too many bullet points, looks too ugly, looks cheap, and what could you do to fix it up? You know, a lot of people, this is one of the few times in the workplace that we could actually be creative working on PowerPoint. It gives us the chance to really try out different colors, different shapes, but at the end of the day, you've just spent a lot of time and you may not even know if it's the right type of slide. So that's why we offer this presentation review and expert opinion. And now, one of the more proud accomplishments in my life so far has been creating a DVD over there, the Power Presentations DVD. It is normally for $100. Right now, we've got it for $49. I'll even let it go for $40, two $20 bills. If anyone is interested, let me see it and just see me afterward. We want your input, give you your name and your credits. Free upgrade to version 2, and I've only got a few copies here. A personal message of thanks for everything you do. When I was a kid, I suffered serious asthma. I had both my lungs collapse. It wasn't the Delray Beach Fire Department, but Miami Lakes Fire Department that came to my rescue. And several friends, several other times have been rescued by the team, by the work that you guys do. So just a message of personal thanks for the work that you do day in, day out, of gratitude, and sometimes thankless work. It's hard work, but I'm just honored to be here and welcome the chance to take your questions, discuss, and explore some opportunities. So thank you, Chief James.
Thank you, thank you. Now, as you were going through the presentation, it occurred to me our annual report, with the exception of the video, of course, our annual report would, a slide presentation could be very adaptable to developing into an annual report with the kinds of graphics and all those things that you talked about, that would, because that goes to not only the commission but to the public and everybody. That would be a great, I think we could certainly use some opportunity for making our annual report a lot more interesting in terms of its visual nature and how we organize the material to make it more interesting to read.
Sure.
Have that opportunity come to fall.
That's why I'm
How long do you guys have to present it? And it's a pitch to the.
we don't present it.
Okay, it's accepted by them as a document.
It's a
Okay.
document. But it seemed to me that, your slide presentation, you could make an annual report, or do you do anything like
Sure.
that?
Yeah, we've done a lot of documents, and I think there's a crossover between presentations and documents. And it's very similar. So sure, we can do that. Well, good deal. If y'all want to take a break or ask any other questions or see me, or if you want to guide any conversation, we can do that as well. But I know you've got some business to get to.
Yes, we do. Well, I really appreciate you coming, and I think the presentation certainly gave me some thought.
No, just these materials are like your contact information.
The postcards and the business cards, yes. The DVD is a lot of information on that disc.
I think we can pay the cash when we already get.
Oh, yes. Just a gift to Desiree.
Thank you.
But yeah, if anyone wants to give it out and everything. So.
All right.
But yes, I welcome the chance to speak more with you all and do
I
that.
think it was very informative, and thank you.
Thank you. And just if anyone knows, this is something I'm really looking to do more of. I did join the Professional Speaking Association, and people say, hey, you're a good designer, but you're also a great presenter. And I really am looking to get out there more as a speaker, as a trainer. If you all know anyone any other organizations that would welcome a class like this, a program tailored for their specific needs, I welcome the chance to speak with you and other business. It's been challenging economic times out there. Thanks for pushing the economy through. We had a good year last year. I don't know what's going on, but just persevering and pushing on. So.
The Florida Fire Chiefs do a annual presentation in Daytona Beach now, and I've seen similar presentations on how to develop and do PowerPoint, but I think that would be an audience for you, because they're bringing in firefighters from around the country, and this would be a perfect topic to get on their agenda.
Good. Well, if I could have your contact info, we'll.
Send some business to a local businessman.
Oh, super. Zoom. Yes, sir.
Even suggest that you bring up a good point,
me,
because the
as far
Fire
as,
Chiefs Association.
I'm looking to do some in-house
Yeah, even
CEU
countywide
programs for
I mean, the other thing
our
is if
our state certified fire instructors.
I want to share one other point. You mentioned that is.
They did last year, but they're going to do it again in 2 years. Remember, Ray Altman said it was too much work, didn't have enough participation, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, this would be perfect for that, too.
Yeah, I'm going to mention one other thing that I think you mentioned: continuing education credits and training. And one thing that I've been hearing about, maybe you guys are hearing some trends, some things where the industry is going. Cloudware. Cloudware is presentations, software files, not on your local computer, but in the internet, in the virtual space. There are 4 programs out there. that I use is certainly you could put presentations on YouTube. SlideShare is one specifically for presentations. Upload system like GoDaddy's files and Google Docs. But there's one out there that I've been using called SlideRocket. These guys have pumped in millions of dollars on getting this PowerPoint replacement tool out there where you basically just create the presentation in the clouds, in virtual space. You could pull in photos, background templates. Not only can you create it in space and just put it out there, it doesn't take up any resources on your computer, you're able to track how many people have seen it. You send out an email, you say, I've got this presentation online, you can narrate it, and you just basically say, hey, I've sent you guys an email link, and I'm able to track to see who has checked the SlideRocket files that I've created. It really is pretty potent. So I'm excited to be working with them, and I think that this tool that they've invested a lot of time and money can go places, and you'll start hearing about SlideRocket rather than just emailing these enormous PowerPoint files. You just point a link to it.
Okay, well, thanks
Good.
again.
Thank you, thank you. We'll just wrap up, pack up, and get out.
5 minutes?
All right. Okay. I'll leave your cable dangling out, Desiree. Err.
Okay, we'll talk about
Yes.
bring that up today. I'd like to get some other input I have.
Got another one today. Really? I went through all of them.